Okay, this is now the 5-minute tarot for the 26th of March 2017. And Karen asked about the eights, and that's what the video is about. But I need to mention first, some people who watch this series have bought, they either joined the tarot book or the tarot course, or they did the tarot training. So because I'm here on my own, and I make the videos and edit them and upload them and write the content and all the rest of it, and make the videos for the courses. So I don't have a team and I don't have an assistant. So I like to do a lot, but in the paid products that people have, I'm hoping to get back to them soon to add more content for them. But it's a bit like I've got various projects to do, and I try to do them in order, and they always take longer than I thought. But I'm hoping that now that the first astrology course is up, that I'll be able to do more blog posts or start the blog again, as well as make specific material for the tarot course and the tarot training and the tarot book. And I'm also thinking of doing all these ideas. I was also thinking of doing a horoscope spread course. But anyway, so if you have bought content from me, I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you more quite soon. Okay, so the eights. Karen wrote and asked about the eights. And so what I did, I thought about it for a minute or so, and I thought I could try and figure out a complete self-contained unit about the eights. But I thought I'll just go and see what happens. So the first thing that came to mind was, if you take a circle, I meant to have an elastic band, and I forgot to get it, and I don't want to stop. So let's say you've got a circle, right? This is a headphone cable. There's a circle, right? If you take the circle and twist it, you end up with the number 8, right? So in some way, the circle is no beginning and no end, and it's a circle. But in some way, 8 and 0 are connected, but they're not the same. There's something has happened to the 0 to turn it into an 8. And the circle like that, if you put it on its side, you've got, banged the microphone. If you put it on its side, you've got the symbol for infinity, right? So if we try to do make something of the combination of the circle and 0 and the 8 and infinity, that may be a useful way, or a starting point for understanding the 8s of the 4 different suits. And I'd like to mention as well, if we take the idea of 8 and infinity and apply that to the suits, it's not that we're going to come up with a different kind of understanding or more understanding, but it's not that we should be afraid that we're going to contradict what we already know, because it really, the meaning of the card really depends on the question. So with some questions, the typical meaning that you read in a book will work and it will fit and it will make sense. But there can be other questions, or a different questioner who's looking for a different type of answer, a more not so much a yes or a no, but maybe they're more interested in why, and not so much in is it going to be yes or is it going to be no. So for somebody who wants to know why, maybe if you talk about the idea of infinity with the number 8, or its connection with 0 having no beginning and no end, because maybe with the 8s, it's important for the questioner to understand what the starting point is, the 0, the fact that there is completion. It's a bit like if you come up with Nikola Tesla was this inventor, and he, instead of, if you want to invent something, you don't sort of start from where you are right now and try to look out. He began at the end and worked back. So he had this complete idea in his head of what the finished invention would look like. And then he figured out, okay, that's the finished invention. How do I get back to the present? So he worked backwards to get, in order to solve the problem. And maybe that's the connection with the 0 and the 8, with the 8s. With the 8s, you understand how to get back to the present, because in some way you're dealing with a finished product, which I hadn't expected I was going to say right now. But okay, so we've got, I had thought the 8 is the next number after 7. So maybe the point about the 8s is that they're the next step after completion. Because 7 days in a week, right? So the 8 is what next? And maybe that's important for the questioner who gets an 8 of any suit in the answer, that they're supposed to think about, okay, what next? What do I do next? Or what's the next sensible step? So with the number 8, because we may be dealing with what's next, and the fact of the 0 turning it, or the 8 on its side being in the symbol of infinity, maybe the point about the 8s is that with the 8, there are infinite possibilities. So it's important that the questioner chooses wisely. And choosing wisely makes me think of the justice card, because in older decks, justice was always number 8, but Waite switched 8 and 11 around to fit in with the tree of life idea. But if we take justice as a number 8, justice has got this balanced symbols, and or the whatever these things are called, the balance, and with the sword in the right hand. So it's a bit like with justice, think it through and choose wisely. So if we've got infinite possibilities with the number 8, it's important to choose wisely so that we do what makes sense, or what's valuable, or what's important in the different areas of life represented by the suits. But again, it's important to remember what the question was. So let's say the 8 of coins, we've got infinity. So maybe with the 8 of pentacles, we would say to the person, there are no limits, infinite. There are no limits to your income or to what you're going to produce. So think about or understand that there are no limits except what you place, and think carefully and choose wisely about what you're going to produce and how much of it you're going to produce. So questions of volume might be important in the answer to the question, or ideas about what's the right amount to produce. If you get the 8 of cups, cups is emotion, let's say. So with the 8 of cups, we've got 7 for completion and 8's the next step. So choose wisely where you're going to put your emotions, or what you're going to invest your emotions in, because it's a bit like some people, you help them out and you root for them and you encourage them, but some people are just going to take what you give them and come back for more and never really help themselves. So they're always turning to you for support or emotional support or whatever it happens to be. Is it wise to keep giving to people who are only going to take and never do anything with the valuable support and assistance that you give them? So with the 8 of cups, part of the answer can be choose wisely where you're going to put your emotions, or what you're going to put your emotions into. Then we get the 8 of swords. It doesn't mean infinite pain, I don't think, but it's a bit like if you're stuck within the 8 of swords, and so I thought first thing is don't panic. If you can understand that it's the next step, and so don't panic, settle down. And remember the justice. Maybe when the 8 of swords comes up in a reading, you show the question of the justice card and say, this is the antidote. This is what you need to do, or this is what you need to remember. Find balance in the way that the scales are balanced, and then take action. And I'm reminded of a story I was told once that if somebody, let's say somebody's walking along a river and it's a fast flowing river, if they fall into the river, the first instinct might be to climb out where they fell in. And they can exhaust themselves, and it doesn't work. But if you let time pass and let the current carry you down the river a bit, you're going to come to, or you could come to, a place where the water is less fast moving and you can easily move to the bank and climb out. Whereas if you try to climb back out at the place that you fell in, you can just exhaust yourself. So with the Eight of Swords, don't panic, settle down. And once you're balanced, once you're settled down, then you're going to be able to know what to do and choose a good possibility from the infinite possibilities that you've got. Because with the Eight of Swords, it can be that you think you don't have any choice, but in fact, you've got everything. You've got all choice. And then the Eight of Batons. This is somehow a more positive card than the Eight of Swords on its own or on its face. But it's a bit like with the Eight of Batons, what you're dealing with is a basically positive situation. But because we've got infinity for the number 8, you've got multiple paths of development. So choose wisely about what path you're going to take. You're sort of guaranteed success, or the likelihood of success is high, but you still need to make a decision and choose wisely about which of the multiple paths or the multiple developments you'll actually follow or promote. Okay, tomorrow something else. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.